Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to ThinkView, and this is NK. There's a bit of a paradox when it comes to choosing the right iPad, and I believe that many people has also experienced this before. Most people tend to fall in love with the iPad Pro mainly because of the 120Hz refresh rate display. And I have to admit that it's incredibly smooth, and once you start using it, it easily becomes addictive. Meanwhile, models like the iPad A16, the iPad mini 7, or the M3 iPad Air are still limited to just 60Hz refresh rate, which on paper are already a compromise. But here's where the paradox really showed up. If you are about to buy an iPad in 2026, well, based on my personal experience, the iPad mini 7 is actually the best option for entertainment and content consumption, while the iPad A16 is the most reasonable choice for studying. As for most of the other iPad models, I think that they are the waste of money for majority of users, and I want to straight out the majority here. Why you say so? The iPad Pro still has its own niche audience, but that group is quite small. Most people who want a Pro model usually end up buying an older model from the second-hand market instead of going to buy a brand new one, just simply because the price for the brand new model are so high. And that's my overall view for the whole lineup of iPad in 2026. Now, let me explain why. The main reason why I think that the iPad Pro and iPad Air are overpriced is just simply because, well, the A16 can do like 90% of what the iPad Pro and Air can do, while cost only a third or maybe half of the price. You see, currently you can find the iPad A16 on Amazon for just about $395. Just think about it. Once you buy an iPad Air or an iPad Pro and add an Apple Pencil and a keyboard, the total cost can easily jump to thousands of dollars. Meanwhile, the iPad A16 can still handle gaming, watching movies, or studying, reading, or online meeting, and everything runs smoothly. This thing performance is honestly still more than enough for 99% of what today needs. And if you have kids at home, I would recommend an iPad A16 even more because it handles educational games or drawing app and learning content without any issues. And this year, the iPad A16 gained some updates that I think really worth the money. First, the base storage increases from 64GB straight to 128GB, which is a very important improvement. Secondly, there is an iPadOS 26 upgrade, and this is what truly transformed the iPad A16. In the past, features like state manager, like Windows resizing, and proper multitasking was exclusive for the iPad Air and iPad Pro. But with the iPadOS 26 brought all of that into every iPad lineup, even a regular iPad like this A16 can still handle productivity really well right now. Of course, this thing isn't perfect. The iPad A16 has a non-laminated display, meaning that there's a small gap between the glass and the panel, which makes it more reflective and slightly less vibrant if compared to higher-end models. It's also the only iPad that doesn't support Apple Intelligence, and it cannot run AAA titles like Assassin's Creed Mirage or Death Stranding. But for most users, this kind of limitation doesn't matter that much. And besides, it can still run apps like Logic Pro, like Motion, and like Final Cut Pro. So for basic creative work, it's perfectly usable. That's also why I think Apple needs to be more serious and more strict about software segmentation for the iPad Air and iPad Pro. Apple should bring more professional software features exclusively to those higher-end models, because if a regular iPad can do almost everything, then why do people need to spend more on an iPad Air and iPad Pro? One more thing to note is that the iPad A16 cannot output to an external display in full screen mode. I often carry a portable monitor with me because it's light and convenient for work at a cafe. But with the iPad A16, external display output is limited to mirroring. That means incorrect scaling or black bar on two sides and generally frustrating experience. Both the iPad A16 and the iPad mini 7 have this kind of limitation, so if you're planning to buy an iPad for work, well, this is something that you should keep in mind. Now let's talk about the iPad mini 7, which is my favorite iPad in the whole Apple lineups. The reason is that it offers a very clear and focused experience. For work, I use my MacBook. For social scrolling, I use my phone. But for entertainment like watching movies or playing games, the iPad mini 7 feels perfect. It's compact and light and small enough to fit into my pocket. Games like Delta Force or something with on-screen touch control feel especially good on this device because it doesn't block your view like a phone. And also it's not oversized like larger iPad. Compared to the iPad A16, the iPad mini 7 comes with several upgrades, including a better laminated display with less reflection and support for both regular Apple Pencil and the Apple Pencil Pro. And currently, it only priced at about $469 on Amazon. Overall, I generally think that the two most worth buying iPad right now are also the two cheapest ones, the iPad A16 and the iPad mini 7. Now moving to the iPad Air M3. Now talking about the price, the 11-inch version now costs just over $559 on Amazon, while the 13-inch version, which almost laptop size, is priced at around $730 US. The M3 iPad Air has a display quality similar to the iPad mini 7, just in a larger 11-inch and 13-inch size. Compared to the iPad A16, both got 100% color coverage in sRGB. However, in P3 color gamut, only the M3 iPad Air got 100% coverage. The iPad A16 will have a slightly less coverage. For neutral color like white or black or blue, there is nothing much of a difference. Only the bright color like pink, purple, or yellow will be more pop on the iPad Air. But to be fair, in order to see the differences, you have to have a specialist eyes. The M3 iPad Air also have a reflective coating like the iPad mini 7, which help it reduce reflection if compared to the iPad A16. Here, when the background is dark, you can clearly see the difference, isn't it? The M3 iPad Air also comes with a faster USB-C port and support fully functional external display with correct resolution and refresh rate. For example, when I connected to an Apple Studio display at 5K, it worked exactly as expected. Inside this machine is powered by the Apple M3 chip, which is super powerful and support technologies like ray tracing or mesh shading. More games are expected to take advantage of this feature in the future, so these kind of chips are future-proof. The M3 iPad Air supports both Apple Pencil and Apple Pencil Pro. The iPad A16 only supports a regular Apple Pencil. I mean, the pen is not that big of a deal because I would choose the regular Apple Pen for lower price. The thing is, on the M3 iPad Air, there's a feature called Apple Pencil Hover. Sounds like it came from the pencil, isn't it? But actually, it comes from the iPad itself. Whenever you point the Apple Pencil tip to the screen, you will see a hover indicator of your pen tip. It lets you see what pen tip you're using, how tilted it is, and if you're using the Apple Pencil Pro, you can also rotate the indicator by rotating your pen. This feature might really suit someone who are into professional drawings. And then there's an iPad Pro. Apple just launched the M5 iPad Pro, and to be honest, I think that technology products nowadays are coming out too fast for consumers to keep up. Many people probably still don't even know what the M4 iPad Pro looks like, and Apple has already moved on to the M5. Compared to the M5 offers around 30 to 35% of better graphics performance and 3 times stronger AI processing. The iPad Pro also supports an aluminum frame keyboard that feels very close to using a MacBook Air, along with full Apple Pencil support. That said though, I still think that buying an M5 iPad Pro right now is not a good value for most users. It feels more like Apple is preparing the hardware for the future on-device AI feature. For the majority of people, what they really want is the 120Hz display for smoother scrolling and lower latency when taking note or drawing. And for that, older models like the M2 iPad Pro are still more than enough, even for today's standard. But what is your favorite iPad? Let me know in the comment section down below, okay? And thanks for watching. This is NK from ThinkView, and see you guys next time.